Is Skull and Bones. Here is the fake trailer for Skull and Bones that was released in 2018 and E3. I'm speculating that it's a fake trailer. I think it's fake because look at this freaking trailer, man. I mean, it's got the Xbox buttons on it. Look at this water animation right here. The way that the wind is whipping through the sails on this ship. The crew of 100 dudes that each have their own unique outfit and their own unique actions. I mean, there's no way that any Xbox could ever run this game. I think this is a super fake trailer. That's just my opinion. WTF is Skull and Bones. If you're not already familiar, Skull and Bones is the big, massive, multiplayer game set in a pirate environment, obviously. That's kind of, you know, let's say Assassin's Creed, but Assassin's Creed meets The Division, perhaps, where you get to sail the high seas, you get to collect ships, upgrade your ship, and have this open world-ish kind of multiplayer experience. And this game has been delayed 3 consecutive years in a row. It looks like it's Anthem 5.0 all over again. This is the big new innovative game for Ubisoft maybe you've never heard of. This is the mega ultra AAA title of the century. Is it an upcoming disaster? Is this an Anthem 5.0? I mean, guys, first of all, I'd like to ask, do you think this trailer footage that we're looking at right here is fake? I mean, do you see how detailed and unbelievably good this looks? There's no way, in my opinion, this could ever run on any console. I don't think it could run on an RTX 7080. I mean, this
they could probably run on the 7080. I hope by then that our technology is really good to do something like this. If not, man, the future is bleak. It's got some degree of fakeness to it. Most of these marketing trailers do. I mean, it does look a lot like the Anthem trailer did, but I guarantee you some of this probably does exist, but this was all edited together through you know, a video editor and through more. Piece it together to look like all this gameplay is consistent and smooth and works flawlessly. I promise you it does not. They do that. Most game developers have a marketing team that will do this. They get the best working part of their game or a good looking action part, and they polish it together into a marketing fluff piece. And that's essentially what this is. So you're saying like even the graphics and stuff aren't achievable. You're saying that they're like photoshopping in the X button, which if you notice, like this X button never actually does anything. It's just literally there the whole time.
Oh, wow, exposed.
Y probably doesn't do anything either. So it's probably not actually running on a console, but they want you to at least have the idea that it's going to be eventually, because that's the point behind the marketing effort behind this. It's definitely a marketing fluff piece. It's more about what this game could be, maybe, hopefully, instead of what it is right now. I don't know. Am I being too pessimistic here, Ross?
I mean, I just think it's kind of ridiculous, and I'd love to get Ross's take on this. I think it's kind of ridiculous that any of these trailers for these games are what a game could be rather than what they actually are. I mean, it just seems like a huge marketing lie, and haven't all of these companies learned their lesson? I'm thinking Ubisoft maybe did learn their lesson after watching the disaster. Ross, what do you think? Do you think Ubisoft maybe learned their lesson after watching the disaster with Cyberpunk and with Anthem? I mean, Cyberpunk is getting cracked down on by Polish government as well as, you know, class action lawsuits. Do you think Ubisoft is going to learn their lesson, or do you think ego is going to kick in here and they're just going to make the same mistake, promising a game that looks next gen and then never delivering on it? What do you think, buddy?
Well, first of all, the footage that we're looking at now, if this trailer had just released and it was, you know, for Xbox Series X, PlayStation 5, I could see a situation where this may be real, but seeing as this trailer came out in 2018, before we had any new footage from the Series X or PlayStation 5, so that right there tells me that, yeah, if this was intended to be on Xbox One or PlayStation 4, this is probably just a marketing hype with this. Now, I'm going to stick up for Ubisoft here. This game does not have a release date as of now. We talked about how they've postponed it 3 or 4 times by now. If we have learned anything over the past 3 years, it's that when developers give games a certain release date, they very, very rarely are able to hit that date with a finished product. So the fact that it doesn't have a release date right now tells me that Ubisoft may have learned something from the Cyberpunk debacle, and they may just take their time, finish the game, and not rush it out, which is what we want as gamers. We don't want trash coming out and being released. So from that standpoint, I don't know. I think this game could end up being okay if they are allowed to finish the product first, which we rarely see, and especially knowing that Ubisoft has other titles that can carry the financial load. And I don't expect this to be a moneymaker anyway, but you have Assassin's Creed, you've got Watch Dogs. There's a lot that Ubisoft has on its plate. They don't need to rush this out, and I hope that's what they're doing.
God, Perrin just zoomed in on the explosion on the side of the ship there, and the detail of all of how like the ship like explodes in great detail when you shoot it. It just looks so effing fake. But guys, we have to cover a bit more of the other elements of this. This isn't just our personal speculation about this game. I mean, this is going to be the next big thing that you guys could maybe take a look at as content creators. Maybe you could cover this in an upcoming capacity. We're going to look at the numbers in terms of how much search is going on with this game on Google and on YouTube. What are the top news stories and what's going on behind the scenes in this game, and what can you learn about upcoming games when you're selecting one to grow your YouTube channel, your live stream, etc. All of that and more in this episode of the Digital Drop Podcast. This podcast is sponsored by Restream. Why live stream to one platform when you can simultaneously live stream to every platform to discover new audiences faster using Restream.io?
So as we've seen a lot over the past years, especially with BioWare, of the previous episodes we've done, the unfortunate situation that's happening right now at Ubisoft is apparent. It looks like a lot of people have already left the game. That does never end well. Ever, does it?
Yeah, so this was new. We just found this out this morning. Well, actually, it's not a new story. This was July 2020 that this story hit on Video Game Chronicle. I'm not sure about the source, but basically it's true because we know now this is old enough. But Ubisoft like rebooted this game, and if we actually scroll down here to the important part, they changed leadership. And this is, anytime you see this happen for a game, this is a huge red flag. This happened in Anthem, and now Anthem is totally not going to be a thing at all. So they reboot, they change the game's leadership, including the departure of the creative director Justin Barron, who later joined Wargaming. So they got rid of the creative director, the guy up top, he was the one, that's his vision that he was realizing, and so everything that was his vision prior is now that's not happening. So totally huge direction change. One of the big things that killed Anthem, one of the big things that kills the development of any game, you're basically starting over with a brand new vision, and then you're going to try to like take the scraps of whatever was done before and use them so you didn't waste your time. But they're not going to, I mean, the vision is going to be different. And the change is they were going to do a normal open world game that, you know, Ubisoft does, but instead they want to do a live service game, a multiplayer game. And that is the difference. And so this change happened in 2020. This game is not happening anytime soon. Like this big shift happened. They're basically starting over again, trying to recomp old assets. And they've only had like a year of development time now. This looks bad. I'm gonna be honest. This looks pretty bad.
It looks bad, but isn't that what we want? Don't we want these developers to take their time, especially when something like this happens where somebody leaves? And by the way, I'm just playing devil's advocate. I totally agree with you. But when somebody leaves, don't we want them to, you know, say, okay, now we really need to take our time. We need to bring in the right pieces and not rush this out.
How much money and time as a company are you and the investors willing to put into a project before you or get any returns, right? We're talking this thing launched this trailer in 2018. It's 2021, and we're definitely not launching in 2021. How much more longer can they wait before they're like, okay, we need a return on investment? We're spending money on developers' time. We're spending money, you know. Generally, games, on average, I would say take like 5 years or so, good games take to make. So the fact that you're starting over, and now this is going to end up being an 8-year ordeal, how many games Ross and AWOL, do you know that have ended up taking 8 years have ended up being successful?
None of them. I mean, maybe some of the Legend of Zelda games ended up doing that, taking a really, really long time, and they delayed them. But those long development cycles usually end up in disaster. And I just want to talk about what you're talking about here. Ubisoft needs a big multiplayer live service game as a company. And so this is a WTF is Skull and Bones game. What this game actually is, it's not an open world role-playing game, which is what the community is kind of asking for and wanting. That's the response we've seen in the comments here. What they are actually making here, and if you look at the comments, like after reading the comments, it sounds like we all want a revamped AC Black Flag without having to deal with all of the AC stuff and more immersive with an expanded RPG experience, is the top comment on the trailer with 2,100 upvotes here. Revamped AC Black Flag is what the fans are saying they want. But what Ubisoft is actually making when they rebooted this game is a live service, what I assume will be microtransaction packed version of like The Division essentially, but only PvP. So this is going to be like a PvP on the high seas, microtransaction packed, battle pass filled type of game, where you're going to be, doing PvP, you're going to be beating people, you're going to be climbing up that battle pass, just look at the ships, right? You guys can see the microtransactions on the screens. Getting different emblems on your sails, getting different colors for your sails, getting you see the coloring where the cannons are down there at the bottom, that orange stripe. They didn't put a color on there.
The ship. They
That's
always
right.
have elaborate statues and stuff like that, so you'll have that.
Exactly.
The interiors of the ship, the captain's quarters. Holy crap, you can go crazy on this.
All of this, yeah. See the orange stripe where the cannon bays are? They didn't make that orange for aesthetic reasons. They made it orange so they could sell you a microtransaction so that you could turn that into a different color or pattern. And then you can change the wheel on the ship, I'm sure, to change that into an ornate version. You could probably put little, decorations on it and crap like that and dangle some gold skulls or monkeys or whatever. So this is a game designed to be a live service, battle pass, microtransaction filled hell to make them tons and tons and tons of money. But what the community is saying is they want an open world pirate game where they can actually go on land and do pirate things on land and go on adventures. And so we're at an impasse here with this game, at a crossroads, I guess you could say, with the new reboot, with the new leadership. Are they going to deliver on the PvP version of this game, which is not what the community wants, or are they going to try to add some of the RPG elements? This, to me, reminds me of Anthem. This reminds me of Cyberpunk 2077, where they, especially Anthem, where they tried to do both at the same time. In my opinion, when you try to combine RPG elements into an open world at the same time and do a live service with microtransactions, it rarely turns out well. But what we do know, and this is one of the points on our agenda here, is that the Division 2 in the Division series has been a pretty successful live service series that did have some RPG elements. It does have PvP, it does have the microtransactions, and Ubisoft has been doing a pretty darn good job keeping that game interesting, keeping it up and running, and keeping interest high with it. So perhaps Ubisoft could basically do a pirate-themed Division here. Do you think they can pull that off? What do you guys think?
I don't think there's interest in multiplayer for a pirate game, period. I think pirate games are very niche. I'm not saying they're bad. I'm saying they're very niche. I mean, just taking a look at this, they have to incorporate going on land. They have to incorporate new things. How many times can you get on a ship, fire your cannons, board the other ship, and get the loot? Like, how many times can you actually do that in a multiplayer setting and not walk away after an hour and never touch the game again because you've already done everything? So I hope that we're not seeing the full story here. I hope that there is going to be a lot more than what we're just seeing in this gameplay trailer. I'm scared that even if this game comes out and it's fantastic, it's still not going to succeed because it's so niche.
Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, people want to be able to see their pirate on land. They want to be able to do some looting. They want to go to the bar. They want to see some wenches. They want to have that full pirate experience. And that's none of what they pitched in the vision of the game in this trailer, right? So it's not even within, to your point earlier, Andrew Perrin, what you were saying is like these trailers maybe aren't real. Maybe they truly are fake, right? But it's not even within the scope of their aspirations for you to go on land and to do pirate stuff on land. You're just going to sail around the high seas. And the developers have said this in interviews before. You're just going to sail around on high seas. And when you go to a port, the port is only there in reference to like you resupplying your ship or upgrading your ship. You know what I mean? Or like getting like crafting done and various like hub-based stuff. And then you're just spending the rest of your time on your ship. And you can see that some of the only interactions you're going to have with land-based structures in the game is stuff like this, where you're fighting a fort. This PvP, though, to me, guys, looks unbelievably fun. Like, fighting against a fort right here, and, like, imagine if other players were on the fort shooting cannons at you and stuff. Wouldn't that be really fun? I think that there is some legs to this experience. It looks really compelling, but I agree that the pirate genre is super niche. And if we saw anything from Sea of Thieves, I think there is enough interest in a pirate game for a pirate game to become like a mid-tier game, if you will, but not to become a mainstream game. I think what makes mainstream games are military themes, fantasy themes, and sci-fi themes. And those are the themes that people want that are mainstream and are super popular. Pirate? I don't think so. I think pirate is too niche. It's not a part of our popular culture really today. And you don't see pirate movies, for example, coming out every single year. You see them only coming out occasionally. So I think this game is destined to, best case scenario, become a mid-tier game similar to a Sea of Thieves. Do you think that's do you think I'm kind of being a bit too presumptive there, or what do you think, Perrin?
I actually think that's really realistic, and I bet you Ubisoft would actually agree with that goal. Ubisoft has done, if you look at their history with service, and this is Ubisoft Singapore, this isn't the group that did For Honor, but For Honor is a live service, essentially fighting game that's very niche, but very successful. And they have found a way to make more niche appeal live service games, and they have they do have an example of success that they can point to and learn from that has been around for quite a while now. Now, For Honor is very, very niche, but it continues to about the same popularity today, and there's still an active player base playing that game, and they still make money off that game through microtransactions and other things. It's a good model for something like this. I don't think with this game they're expecting for it to be a huge AAA blockbuster sellout. I don't think they're expecting what they normally expect with Assassin's Creed. I think because we're talking Ubisoft, we always think Assassin's Creed. We actually should probably think some of their other IPs. I think For Honor and The Division are two very, very good comparisons that are better for this than Assassin's Creed. And so you have a lot of people, like we said in the comments, saying they want an open world Assassin's Creed Black Flag. That's what we want. That's what we want. But I think Ubisoft is saying, no, we know that's what you want. We can make open world games. We do Assassin's Creed all the time. We want to make a live service game because look how much money these niche little live service games, like For Honor we did, look how much money they can make. That's what we want to do. So yeah, that's what you want. Don't worry, we make open world games. We're doing that in the next Assassin's Creed 20,000 going to the moon or whatever the hell it's going to be. Like, I would play that. This game.
I'd play that. Yeah.
Fantastic
Let's
game.
go to the moon, baby. Woo!
So I guess what I'm trying to say is the model here is niche. They are going after a niche. This isn't going to have mainstream appeal. It's not supposed to. That's the point. Because you go after these niche markets and you monetize them. You grab the whales who pay for tons of microtransactions to get the best looking ship, the best looking character. They sink over 3,000 hours into it, become the best at the game.
Whales.
And they sink
yeah.
So much money. They make money off these little niche targeting. So I think that's what their plan is here. And actually, we already know because they actually the original vision was an open world game. They changed to a live service, and that was in 2020. So We know this is now going to be live service. It's not going to be open world. All those people were like, that's all we want. We just want an Assassin's Creed Black Flag open world with RPG elements and whatever. No, that's not what's happening here. That's not what they're delivering. That's not what they want to do. That's it.
I'm looking at this gameplay trailer, and Sniper in the comments is like, so this is AC Black Flag, but worse. And I really do agree with him on this. This looks like a complete clone of Assassin's Creed Black Flag, from taking on the forts, from the interaction of boarding. Everything about this looks like Assassin's Creed Black Flag with better graphics. I don't see anything innovative here. You guys?
I think that this game, it could be innovative in that you're gonna have some ship-based PvP and a deep progression system with naval combat. We haven't seen that in about 10 years. So I used to play games like this. Go ahead and reverse the trailer back. I want to keep playing the gameplay here because I think the gameplay looks phenomenal. I used to play games like this back in the day. Like 10 years ago, there were some niche games like this that had some deep progression, and there were online multiplayer games like this, but not even close to being on this level. And I think the deep PvP and progression that you could get from this could get those hardcore player bases, and that's something that we don't have in the modern era. Also, you know, just like think about how deep the naval combat is. Do you guys see all of the different targets on the ship, for example, across the way? They like each ship has like 16, 17, 20 different HP zones and places that you can shoot that each have their own individual shields when you're shooting them here when we look at this gameplay. So this level of skill that you have when you're firing your cannons, for example, the type of ammo that you're using, whether you're using exploding shot to really light up the hulls on the side, for example, whether you're using grape shot to take down their sails and to incapacitate the other ship, whether you're using we have a couple cannons on the back of the ship, those larger cannons and the ones on the front of the ship that can shoot a flaming shot to light the other ship on fire and eventually burn their sails. All of these deep PvP elements and like high skill elements that could happen in naval combat don't currently exist in any games that are on the market today. So that is
in Black Flag they do, yes.
This
is literally Black Flag. Everything you just mentioned is in Black Flag.
But it's not multiplayer PvP, and it's not, you can't climb to the top of the ladder. And that game didn't focus on, PvP is what makes it unique. So everything I'm talking about is, but this would be in the multiplayer PvP element. There's the grape shot taking down the sails. So if you can't be the best in the whole world at it, like they may be thinking, can we do esports with this? Can we be on the front page of Twitch with this? Can we get a niche community that's really hardcore and wants to be the best in the whole world with their ship and wants to show off to their boys? And if we can do this in a cross-platform way, and we can get a hardcore player base of a couple 100,000. Look at this fake ass trailer though. Do you see the explosions right here on the side? This is the fakest trailer I've ever seen, dude. There's do you see the details of that explosion? It's so fucking fake. It's so fucking fake. Oh, anyway. I think it's unique because it's PvP and it's multiplayer. End of story. And the progression will be ultra, ultra, ultra deep. And the customization that you can make to your ship will be super deep. And that's something that people will pay for and they'll get sucked super deep into. Pirate, like, if they are able to suck up basically, let's say, the entire pirate market here, that could be insanely lucrative for them. You know what I mean? Like there's tons of competition in the sci-fi genre. There's tons of competition in the fantasy genre. There's tons of competition in Cyberpunk and in these other genres of games, right? Military style shooters. But there's only one competitor, Sea of Thieves, in the pirate genre. So if they can grab up that adult and that hardcore interest in this entire genre of games in pirate, that could be a massive boon for them. You know what I'm saying? Like, I just feel like there's a bunch of elements of this that are unique from a business standpoint, and I think the PvP and multiplayer elements as well make this unique. I think it does. I think it uniquely positions it in the market. There's not a game like this in the market right now, right?
Well, Sea of Thieves. I mean, right? I mean, they're basically doing Sea of Thieves, just with a little bit of a different flair and style, and maybe a little bit more detail. But
Sea of Thieves isn't like PvP combat like this. In Sea of Thieves, you aren't shooting cannons at the other ship to sink it with like multiple types of ammo and stuff like that. You're boarding the other person's ship for the most part, and then doing land.
It's more about you being like the individual character.
Yes.
Than managing like the whole crew and the whole ship.
Yeah, this is a naval combat game. Sea of Thieves is about being a pirate. I think that's the thing. Like, people are saying, I want a game where I'm a pirate. This is not a game where you're a pirate. This is a game where you are a ship. Like, your character is the ship in this game.
It doesn't look like, actually, at no point in this trailer are you running around as as a single character. Like, the whole trailer, you're the ship, and that's it the whole time. So that's probably what this would be. I mean, maybe when you go and dock, it would show your character and you could like outfit your pirate or whatever. But I doubt it doesn't look like you're gonna be running around in first person or in third person view as your character doing much. I mean, I imagine they would easily have the tools to do that. I'm not saying that wouldn't be in the end product, but that's definitely not the goal, or that's definitely not what you're trying to work towards, is the progression of that individual character. You're working for the progression of the whole crew, your whole naval fleet. In fact, at the very end of the trailer, if you notice, whenever their ship died, it just went to a screen where they picked a different ship. So it's not like your character's respawning and then you have to go find another ship. You just pick a different ship and you go back out, you start shooting again. That's it.
Wow. I mean, that totally makes sense. And I mean, one comment here in chat I really want to highlight is Michael Bay Explosions. I mean, Ross, you asked what was going to be innovative about this game. Michael Bay Explosions, says Gru. I totally agree. Look at, I mean, seriously.
But is this going to be in the game?
Look at this.
That's the question. Is this what it's going to look like in the game?
Michael Bay Explosions, dude, on the high seas, baby. Look.
It looks fantastic. I'm not denying that at all. It looks incredible. And just to add to your point, AWOL, if you go to their website, they literally never mention the word pirate. It's all naval combat. So
it's
you're right.
Naval combat, yeah. Totally makes sense. Guys, okay. Speaking of Restream.io advertisements, say the Restream.io advertisement.
You are the king of transitions, sir.
That was great. That was so smooth.
Yeah, so we are sponsored by Restream.io, obviously. Stop focusing on one platform. Start streaming to all of them in case one of them goes the way of Old Yeller. Then you have a backup plan. You're not just stuck being exclusive, or if you get banned for no reason, like we've been seeing a lot of recently, you've got other platforms that you can go to and your career doesn't die. I'm dropping a link in the comments if you want 30% off your first month. Just use the link in the comments on Restream.io.
Makes sense. And we're working on getting the discount code fixed. So use our affiliate link. We get credit if you install Restream. We are restreaming right now on multiple platforms: YouTube, Twitch, Trovo, DLive. We're on Twitter as well. I mean, you name it. We recommend this to all of our clients, and we've been using Restream for years. And thank you to Restream for sponsoring the show. It's our #1 recommended tool for content creators. So let's wrap this episode up. Let's go around the table, starting with Ross. Is Sea of Thieves, oops, Skull and Bones going to launch is question 1. And if it does launch, will it be a successful game? Ross Dillon.
If it looks like this, yes, it'll be successful for what it is.
No. Question number 1. Will it launch is the first question.
Yes, I apologize. Yes, it will launch, not anytime soon, probably. Yeah, and like I said, it's such a niche game. It could be very successful within that niche. Honestly, on whether or not it's actually going to succeed, I don't think we know enough yet. Because if it's just this, even with the amazing graphics and Michael Bay explosions, I don't think it's going to be enough. Just because it's going to get into that really repetitive nature, almost like Marvel's Avengers did, where it's going to be the same thing over and over and over until you're just completely drained and bored and never touch it again. If there is more to it than what we're seeing here, then it has a chance to succeed. But overall, I just don't think the pirate niche is as big as what most people think.
Okay, so you think, yes, it will launch. And if it launches at a super high level of quality like this, then it will have some level of success, but it will be niche. Is that basically what you're saying?
Exactly, which I'm very skeptical about. Is that actually going to launch like this? So,
Perrin, back to you. Will it launch? Question number 1.
It will launch in 2023, specifically in March of 2023. And it will be a niche naval combat game with really good progression that they'll base off of the same system pretty much they've done with For Honor. So lots of people will replay the same thing over and over again for that carrot on the stick for upgrading the character to be the best, to rank up, whatever. They'll have those type of leaderboards, ranking systems in the game. There'll be some off ship stuff but it will be limited. You'll be able to like go to a port, maybe wander around, shop, do some things, upgrade your character, upgrade your ship, maybe find different crew members. But otherwise, it'll be mostly set to different multiplayer maps and campaigns in the high seas with naval combat. And it will be successful in Ubisoft's mind, not in the general gamer's mind. The general gamer will say, oh, it's kind of a fail because it won't be very popular. It won't be really highly viewed on Twitch. It won't be really highly viewed on YouTube, but it'll have a niche, very active community that continues to play the game because they've chased the carrot on the stick. They like the competitiveness. They like that niche, and that'll work for Ubisoft.
I like that assessment. Mine's very, very similar to that. I think I agree with you. It will launch. I think it will be mildly successful, and I'm gonna play the hell out of it. I might even cover it. So as a content creator, there's almost nobody out there covering this game right now. This is an opportunity. If you want to become the Skull and Bones channel, go for it. Like, it's just wide open. There's basically no competition. So if you want to start a channel and go after this, they're going to put tens of millions of dollars behind this game in terms of marketing. This is an opportunity for content creators. If you want to become the channel for this, even if it is a niche game and a mid-tier game, it'll probably have a large enough audience for a few creators on YouTube to go full time. So this might be an opportunity for those of you that like pirate games, for those of you that are looking for a new opportunity out there to grow. This is a game where you could potentially capitalize on something like you said for For Honor. And if one of our viewers ends up covering this game in an upcoming capacity, covers all the news, speculates about what we want and stuff like that for this game, you could be the guy for this game, and you could really succeed. So whoever decides to do that first, you win. Thank you so much for watching the Digital Drop Podcast. That's what Skull and Bones is. That's our opinion. Let us know what you think.